Hello everyone, and welcome to the third Dev Diary for the newly renamed New Era Old World. In this, we will be looking at some of the changes that will be coming with our 3.0 update. Today it's just me, Cloud, or 90, here to talk to you, also known as Fish currently. Anyway, let's get into the game and have a look. We've added quite a bit already, and that doesn't mean that we're done yet, but let's just select Frederick, and we'll have a look around the world. There are several changes in Britannia to begin with that we can have a look at. The biggest one, though, would have to be the Northlanders, which you will see in a moment. So we now have a total of 5 Anglo cultures in the British Isles, between the Old Normans in the Isles of Jersey and Guernsey, the Westlanders, the Eastlanders, and the Northlanders. The Northlanders actually go by Northlanders in the endonym version of the mod. The Eastlanders go by Eastlanders, and the Westlanders by Westlanders. We decided to finally give them some kind of endonym, so just to show that while they are similar to modern English, they aren't exactly the same. Besides that, the other big changes that have happened in Great Britain are that now it is multicultural. Although not to a massive extent, because we went off of 2000 era statistics for it. So it is a bit uncommon to find them, but we do have 2 starting characters who are Asian and black in order to let you play as them if you wish. But random courtiers have a chance to generate as other cultures. We did this through a diversity event. If I can find a baron that generated as one of the other cultures, that would be great, game. Thank you. Here. Let's see. This random baron has generated as a black man, so we finally addressed that issue that people were having with the mod. Anyway, in France, there has been 2 major changes which have occurred. One, we renamed Francian to Metropolitan to indicate that it's essentially Parisian French, which is what this area is. It's like this would be the closest to modern Parisian French of all the dialects. And we also moved Breton to the French group, Francophone, rather than having it in the Celtic group, due to the utter domination that French has over the Breton language in the region. The prior situation was more of a relic from base game. They do retain their Celtic portraits, as do the Gallo have. They have the quote-unquote Gaulish portraits, as we call them, which are Celtic faces with French clothes. If we go a little south, you can see the Aceta replacing the opticians. This is the basically to indicate that these are speaking a descendant of the modern French that's spoken in the region, rather than the ancient Occitan language, which is, for all intents and purposes, extinct in the area. There really isn't very many people. It probably wouldn't make a resurgence after an apocalypse. Anyway, if we move to Spain, there has been a fair few changes, such as the addition of Andorran, if you see here, Andorra, Asturan, Asturanu, and Extremeno as well, since these are major dialects which we beforehand did not have in Spain. If we then go and have a look around, we should find, here is Palamedes. Now his coat of arms has been, well, his bloodline rather has been done up a bit to make it look a bit more interesting. So we did this for several of the starting rulers on the map. So if we go over to Bhutan, he now has that, which looks very good in my opinion. Some of the other rulers on map who have bloodlines at the start also have them. These new ones, what's another one? I can't remember at the moment. Anyway, I do believe these guys can actually form a very interesting formable, but I'll leave it up to you to have a look at it. In Scandinavia, there has been a lot of changes. First things first, the king is now of the house Bernadotte Västergotland, which is essentially a cadet branch of the current royal family, which is interesting. Anyway, if we look overall religiously, you can see that Nobelian has been replaced by 3 types of Lutheran. But these 3 types of Lutheran are not all necessarily Christian. If we go to the north, the Vagarna are a syncretic religion, which mixes with various influences coming in, and it has schools that the characters adopt a few years into the game to represent that. Most of the Lutherans that are more isolated, such as the ones in Iceland, tend to fall into this. Liturgical being the high church Lutherans that exist, that we have in these countries which are more centralized, such as, you see, Prussia, unified Sweden, unified Norway, and Estonia. So, if we go to the south, we have the Einblickers, who really, truly dislike Catholics. They're basically, well, first things first, they're esoteric, so even other Lutherans will dislike them, but they're supposed to be absolute zealots in their belief system. So, and they weren't originally from this part of Europe, but have been slowly moving south towards where the Catholics are because they want to do not very nice things to them. So, anyway, they will have a lot more stuff added to them fairly soon, but right now they will have the ability to add. It's hard to explain what they'll have, but they're going to get a formable like caliphate title for Italy and whatnot. So caliphate-like title, not exactly, of course. If we go here to the King of Bavaria, we renamed him from Audi to Horch, since that is the actual German name of the family who owns Audi. They Latinized it when they wanted to sell it internationally. So, if we go to Yugoslavia, there have been some changes culturally, with this area being made Croatian for the most part, like the islands and whatnot. The Montenegrins got a little smaller, but the largest thing is that there's now a melting pot for all of the South Slavs to fuse together should the religion of Yugoslavism triumph and the empire hold together. So only specifically under those two conditions and after the year 2600 will it possibly happen. But if it happens, it would be quite unifying for the empire. And before anyone says anything about it being offensive to the Balkans and the tragedies that have happened there, this was designed by one of the newer members of our team, our artist, who is actually from the Balkans, and he thought that it would be nice for maybe the Balkans to not, maybe everyone in the Balkans to finally get along after an apocalypse. That would be a bit of a change of pace. Anyway, back to Britain. Thelema now has a religious head, the Council of Wisdom, with a high sorcerer as its head. He doesn't hold a lot of power, but he does hold a fair bit, not a huge amount though. The new Lutherans have a religious head somewhere, but the bishopric of Lund, somewhere around here, if I could find it. I suppose I'll just have to play as one of them in order to show you their religious head. This is specifically for liturgicals, of course, not any other denomination of Lutherans. If we go to their religious tab, they have the Archdiocese of Lund, who acts as the religious head, but as you can see, only has the request claim and request invasion options. So she doesn't have a lot of power, but it's more than you would expect. There also, it functions kind of similarly to unfortunately, we weren't able to change the matriarchs and patriarchs, so they're the same, but it kind of functions like how Orthodoxy does, except specifically it doesn't, the head doesn't have as much power, essentially. One thing, if anyone is concerned about the liturgicals being boring, all of the three Lutheran religions will inherit certain things from Nobelian due to the connections that Lutheranism has in Scandinavia and Northern Europe with the tradition, tradition of learning of there. So, like the education systems and whatnot. They're very connected to each other, so they will inherit quite a few things from them. If we go over to the Soitoscan on the steppe, it'll be much easier for them to conquer down here in Khorasan, because they now have a significantly larger invasion force, which will make it much easier to do that. It'll also happen quicker because I changed some of the tags myself. We also cleaned up Iran a bit because beforehand it had been a bit of a mess from when I reworked the region to actually make the mountains kind of impassable. So we additionally made several of the large counts into small dukes instead. Now, if we go to Israel, one, you can see that Israel has changed a lot. It now has several different kinds of. Well, it has Muslims in two separate parts, both here with the Bedouins and here with Shami. So, which are the Levantine Arabs. So, if we look if I can find a yes here, Jews, rabbis, I mean, now have their own more modernized robes and hats, which actually look quite good. Our uh, our Jewish dev did quite well with them, I think. They look very well. If we then, we should play as the King of Israel, play to 666, 2801. The parliament systems, if I can just find it, council. Yes, the parliaments were fixed so that there isn't any bugs with them anymore. They should be fully functional now. This is the parliament. The parliaments in Israel, Bhutan, Britannia, and what's the last one? Oh yes, the Roman Republic. They all function properly now. If we go and look at, if we go to the Achievement Empire in Achievement China, you can finally see that thanks to our new artist, we at last have all of our icons in. No more placeholders for the achievements that we have so far, which is, in my opinion, great to finally have. Anyway, hopefully after this we can add more of them. We still haven't finished our rework of Africa, so that may or may not be included in 3.0. It might be included in a future update after that point. If we go over here to India, a lot of the kingdoms got a rework in color. There was some remashing with the cultures a bit, and some changes with religions, such as the Bagramists and Dharmics being changed a bit. This is This was a lot of the work done by our India dev. He has really worked on changing it up, such as renaming Indian feudal to better represent what it is. So, yeah, it overall looks pretty good in my opinion. His work on India so far. He also shrank Jains a little bit, but they are still quite unique. What else have we done? Oh, there were some GFX fixes for various different things, bunch of new traits and icons, but those are a bit hard to find. Russia was made more tribal if you examine it on the government table. a good bit of this. The feudal areas are mostly up in the north here and around Moscow now, with this area being majority tribal but still having feudal rulers. So, oh, there is now a Saint Basil Orthodox Holy Order. If we go to an Orthodox character, which should be visible here. Yep, the Order of Saint Basil, right there, alongside the Order of the Brotherhood of the Holy Sepulchre. So, I think the last thing we did was we moved the Avars from the West Turkic group to the Caucasian group, alongside the Armenians and the Georgians. So, and the Chechens, since there isn't really any other groups that they belong in. Oh, here, this was something I almost forgot about. Here in the Middle East, we now have split up Bedouin a bit more into Hijazi, referring to the Sultanate of Hijaz, which this region is known as, along the coast, which are supposed to be more urban Arabs in comparison to the Bedouin. So, and we also have Khaliji, which are more like it literally means Gulfer or Gulf Arab, which is what we have here in Abu Dhabi and across in the in the Arabic part of Persia, which for some reason exists. I don't know the history behind it. But I think that's basically everything that we've done in total since the last update 16, 17 days ago, 18 days ago. I don't know when we last updated it. It's been a lot of work. But yeah, we probably won't add diversity events for any other cultures in Europe, since the most quote unquote metropolitan, like diverse countries in Europe would probably be Great Britain and France. The other ones just not as much. So even now in 2020, they just aren't as much. Versus these two, which even in the year 2000 were already very diverse. With oh yes, I forgot to mention, the British can actually not only have Asians and black people, it can also have Indians spawn in. Although we don't have a starting Indian character anywhere that you could play as, but they will randomly generate as British people. So, yeah. We are currently in the process of reworking the lore for the United States, but it's going to take a while. Hopefully we'll have it done for 3.0, but it should be good. Yeah, anyway, so that's done. If you listened the whole way through, thanks for listening, and I hope that when we release the update, you enjoy it. Yeah. Anyway, bye.